It's Tasha Danvers here, two-time Olympian and Olympic bronze medalist, and welcome to another episode of Global Sports Channel's Sports Personality Spotlight. And today I have an up-and-coming star. He said maybe. I say no, for sure. Okay, in the world of distance running, let's get chatting with Samuel Tanner. Samuel, how are you? Or do you prefer to be called Sam?
Don't mind, but I'm good. Thank you very much.
Good, good. And you said you were out training this morning when we were speaking before the show, and you didn't have too much rain. It's sunny over here. Where are you?
Yeah, so currently I'm in Seattle at the University of Washington, and
Nice.
yeah, it's not too bad. The first few days were pretty wet, so I'm stoked to have a little glimpse of sun every now and then.
A little bit of sunshine, yeah. So are you hoping to be there for a while? Because I know with COVID everything's changing. A lot of the athletes are moving around. Are you situated right now there for a while?
Yeah, yeah. So I I'm subletting an apartment from one of the girls on the team at the moment, and yeah, I just came over on the 31st of January, and plan to stay here until at least the Olympics. So yeah, that's the
Nice.
plan.
Wonderful. So let's look at your history, take it back a bit because you're only 20, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
But you've been in sports for a while. Like, how long have you been running?
Oh, I've been running competitively probably since the second to last year of my high school career. But really, I started athletics when I was, just a toddler or around 5 years old when I started school, just playing, playing mostly for play and just to enjoy, competing against some other young athletes just for a bit of fun and enjoyment, really. Yeah.
Did you choose running or did your parents put you in it or did you do other sports? How did you end up in the running side of things?
Yeah, that's a good question. My mum was actually a 200/400 meter sprinter, and dabbled in the 800 as well. So I think I get my speed from her. But growing up, we did that kids athletics and really just a whole bunch of other sports. Like my dad was a surfer and a bit of a triathlete, so always in the endurance scene. But yeah, I started out surfing and skating and doing lots of board sports, but kind of found a niche for running a little bit as I grew up through middle school or intermediate. And yeah, I just fell in love with it a little bit and started training and found out that I wasn't too bad at it. So I kind of just stuck at it so far, and it's going all right.
So a little bit of genetics there who were playing a part, it sounds like, in there with your mum being in sports in the running
Yeah.
side as well. Now, I heard you say, speaking of your mum in an interview, that she actually gave up her career to have you at 19. Was that a sports career or was that something else? And what does that mean for you in terms of your achievements?
Yeah, absolutely. My mum had me super young, and she was actually playing touch for New Zealand at the time.
Wow.
So touch rugby, and she was really, really good. From what I understand, anyway. And well, I mean, you've got to be pretty good to make a New Zealand touch team because rugby's our sport, right? So,
Yeah.
um, yeah, it means a lot for me to be running and running at a high level, and I yeah, want to make her proud and succeed as much as I can in the area that I've chosen to discipline myself in. And yeah, I'm just stoked that I've been able to be a good son, and just make her proud and make my family proud. So yeah, it means a lot.
I love that. Now you talked about discipline. What has it been like trying to balance, a career that's moving into the professional direction and studying, because that's a recent that's a recent thing in your life at this age. How do you make sure that all these bases get covered?
Yeah, sometimes I must admit I do struggle with that one a little bit. I find that a lot of runners come to the US, or a lot of US students come to colleges to run and run in the college system. But yeah, and they're using that as a platform to get a degree. But
Mm,
I'm kind of hoping that I can use the platform of the NCAA as a platform to grow my career as a runner,
Right.
but also as a platform to get a degree as well. But I would say that running would come first. And I'm just really stoked that I can have that opportunity, because a
Right.
lot of people don't really have that opportunity.
What are you studying right now?
Uh, that's the tricky one.
Or trying to study?
um, my my thoughts are up in the air a little bit. I'm kind of
Right.
thinking I want to do engineering at some stage.
Ooh, that's a big
But
one.
it is a big one, and
Yeah.
it's quite a challenging degree to do alongside running. And
Right.
so I think that I'm going to take something in the
A
area
little
of
less,
sport.
right, a
Yeah,
little less taxing on the brain. We'll have to
yeah,
get you
yeah,
in touch with Edwin Moses. He was big on the engineering side, so we'll see. We'll
yeah. That's
see if
awesome.
we can give you any advice on balancing that out. So
Yeah,
what
cool.
motivates you now? Like what motivates you to do this sport, to continue to do it? Because like you said, it's not easy. You're growing up, you're learning about the sport. There's so much stuff to discover, and at the same time you're trying to study. What keeps you going? What keeps you motivated?
Oh, that's a big question, and I think it has quite a few answers. But I think for my motivation, it changes quite often, and I think
Right,
the most important thing is for me is just to find a way to make it fun.
right,
And so, race season, it's all about the racing, and I get so much of adrenaline rush just racing, and I just love that. And that the thought of the next race is enough motivation in itself to get up every morning with ease and just get ready to run. And in a situation like winter training where you're doing lots of mileage, that's hard. If you're in Seattle and if it's like wet and raining, that is a hard life.
right.
But I think I find motivation in just the fact that getting outside and enjoying. My dad likes to say, enjoying God's creation. And so I really love to get outside and enjoy God's creation and that. And it takes you a lot of places, and there's some beautiful running around Seattle and also in New Zealand. So when I'm home there, I love to run on the beach and stuff. And so the beach is another one. But
So are you more of a high mileage trainer, or do you do more of the interval type training for your event?
yeah, definitely more of an interval, like lower mileage, more
Right,
speed based athlete. Um, I've been dabbling a bit more on the high mileage this year, which I think has helped a lot. But purely genetically, I'd say probably leaning
right.
towards the more speed side, which is a lot more fun, I think.
Yeah, well, I would have to agree with that, but I'm a
Yeah,
bit
yeah.
biased where I've come from. So
No,
now
that's you're exactly right.
I can totally relate. Now you're like in one of the, I mean, it's prestigious in a sense because for your age, the time that you ran, being under 4 minutes for a mile, I mean, that's phenomenal. How did it feel when you were so young and competing at such a level? I mean, it must have been like, whoa, is this me? Because that's an elite group of people that can do that at the age that you were able to get under that 4 minute mark in your teens.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. How did it feel? It was cool, real cool. I didn't really believe it for myself for a while. I was like, what? And I didn't really comprehend how fast it actually was. And it wasn't until I came to college and I was like, oh man, I have to do that again. That's actually really hard.
Right.
But I think I put it down to a lot of really good coaching from my coach Craig, Craig
Yeah.
Kirkwood in high school, and my relationship I had with him. He believed in me so much, and that gave me so much self belief. And I was kind of just a kid who was like, oh, if coach says I can do it, then I can do it. Like,
Yeah.
doesn't really matter if I'm fit enough to do it, but I'll give it a go and I'll give it a
Y-
good crack.
Right.
And that's kind of what I did. And then it just happened to come. The times come when you've got the attitude and the motivation to do it. So that's what I've been doing, and it's been working.
Nice. How has that shift been from high school and you've been with a particular coach at a young age and you've created a bond and now you've got to go and move on. whether you like it or not, to university and be with a different coach. How was that transition for you?
Yeah, it's actually been really good. I've
Nice.
loved working with Andy Powell, and it's his style of coaching is different but similar at the same time. He focuses more on some speed stuff sometimes, and Craig's probably more like shorter rest. But they both are good quality coaches, and they've both had really good communication with each other too. So I have just really benefited from both of them having input at the same time, especially throughout little transition periods. Like I was based in New Zealand over COVID, and Craig was coaching me. But Andy had like let go of the reins, and he'd just say, "Craig, I trust you and your coaching.
Right, right.
Make Sam fit," and he'd just communicate with me every now and then, and make sure that I'm doing the right thing, and kind of keeping an eye on it. But he really just gave up the reins, and then the switch back into Andy's hand is now, and so we're just managing that. But it's been really, really good.
That's great because that means that you have the right circle around you who aren't concerned about egos. They're just really concerned about you being able to perform at your
Yeah,
best.
exactly.
So that's really a good position to be in now. Back in what's 2020, March, the world starts going upside down with this whole COVID thing. You would have been training, you would have been getting ready to prepare for Olympic trials and potentially going to the Olympics. What was it like when you realized that this year was not going to go the way one would expect? And how have you had to adapt to make sure that you're still in a position to potentially go should those things start opening back up for Tokyo and so on?
Yeah, it was kind of crazy. I didn't really believe it for a long time. It kind of at the start I almost thought it was going to be one of those little viruses or something that just pops up in one part of the world and just
Yeah,
disappears a short time after. But as soon as things started getting shut down, it got shut down really quickly, and my plans, um, for example, I was, NCAA champs indoors was cancelled. And then
right,
within a few hours of that, I was going home to New Zealand. And I was like, what? Because I
wow,
changed my flights like 4 different times. I was like, okay, NCAA's was cancelled. I'm going to go to Australia and race. And
right,
then that was cancelled. And I was like, what? And then so my flights changed 4 times in one night. And
wow,
then all of a sudden, 2 days later, I was home. And that's how quick it was. And I was like, wow. And then, a week after that, I was in lockdown, and or 2 weeks after that, the whole country locked down, and we got through COVID well. So I think that New Zealand was really smart in the way they handled COVID. It may have been a bit more affecting on different businesses, but hey, we're a strong country, and I think we'll get through it. But
absolutely.
yeah, as an athlete, it it challenged me a bit. Gyms and stuff weren't available to go, but I'm lucky enough that I had a pretty good support network around me that have resources. Like my parents we live right by the beach, so I was able to just
Nice.
go to the beach for a run, whereas some people weren't as fortunate and they had to run around the streets and everything like that. So yeah, I was really, really fortunate, and I've just been kind of playing it by ear, and we're getting through it.
For people that don't know how your sport works, because I'm sure you get asked all the time, how many laps do you do? Like it's way more than that. Or how many miles do you run? Switching to like being by the beach or being on the sand or being on grass or being on concrete running in the street, does it make a big difference to your training, what surface that you have to end up on, making these adjustments?
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot of people have a lot of different opinions on that, and I think that if you're a more injury prone person, then it is definitely beneficial to be running on soft surface. And I think long term, soft
Right,
surface is amazing. And I mean, I'm not fussy. Like if I have to run on the road, I'm going to run on the road. But if there's
right,
soft surface, I'll choose to run on the soft surface. But
right.
when you're running as much mileage as I am, and a lot of runners are running a lot more, I'm probably running roughly 100 Ks a week, 60 miles, maybe a bit
Wow.
more, maybe a bit less, depending on the season. But yeah, when you're doing that many miles, it can really take it out of you, and you can wear down pretty quickly. So Yeah, I love running on the beach, and I do a lot of when I'm home, I do a lot of my recovery runs just in bare feet on the beach in the
Right.
soft sand, and it strengthens up my feet. And yeah, it's really good.
Nice. Now, there's kind of like a rhythm in every sport to how training goes. So there's a winter and a spring, and things get faster, and then you compete. Now, obviously, with COVID, that rhythm kind of got thrown off. Have you guys tried to sort of create a competition scenario? I know a lot of schools have like done time trials or invited other people in to try and still have that competitive season, so that you're not just training all the way through. Or did you guys just push through, keep building, keep doing the basic, keep doing the fundamentals, and preparing for whenever things may open back up all the way?
Yeah, I was really lucky. I was home during COVID lockdown, and that was like a perfect time to have a good base. And so I built a base from, March till September, raced a couple cross country races in New Zealand,
Right,
when they were open, because New Zealand got on top of it quickly.
right.
And then, to be honest, I didn't even really notice that there was like a change in my schedule, because racing pretty much went ahead in New Zealand as per usual. And yeah, then Andy gives me the message just before I'm about to leave and get on the plane to come back, and he's like, "Yep, we're being cleared to race again." So I know that UW had a lot of, a lot of it's been affected racing wise throughout the fall. But yeah, I was lucky enough to just come in smack bang right into racing season again.
Nice.
So yeah, it's actually been quite a smooth transition, and yeah, it's exciting.
I'm gonna have to rub your shoulder or something when I get the chance. You seem to have all the best luck.
I know.
Things just seem to go smooth for you. I love that. Now, from your perspective, what would you say are some of the major highlights, or, the great points for you in your career so far?
Oh, that is a big one. I don't know. I've loved the experiences. Like, I've gone to Paris to race
Right.
world cross country as a secondary school athlete,
Wow.
and that was amazing. Just traveling my first overseas, big overseas experience by myself, pretty much, with the New Zealand team, and managed to come away with second. And so I was pretty stoked with that one, actually. Um, but I think, yeah, just the experiences, probably World Juniors as well. That was awesome. But I think the reason why all of these experiences and success, I suppose, have been quite like lucky for me, was because I've just had such a pacing about it, and just kind of
Yeah.
just gone off the flow when things have popped up, just react to them, ask questions, and have, be a bit of a critical thinker, as I learned in my military class the other day, which is good. Um, but yeah, just those two, and just the one-off things, like running sub 4 for the first time,
Yeah.
in my first mile ever, and I was pretty stoked with that. I
Right.
If I was to brag about one thing, I think it would be I ran sub 4 in my first mile ever.
Right. I
Yeah,
think that's pretty big one to brag about. You have full
yeah.
bragging rights for that one. That is a very big
Thanks.
deal for anyone who doesn't really know the world of distance running. That is a huge, 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 huge deal
Yeah,
for a teenager to first race. On top of that. So now it's kind of difficult to plan at the moment, but what are some of your short-term goals? What are some of the things you're hoping to achieve if all goes according to plan? If races are there, if the Olympics go ahead, what are some of your goals that you're having in the immediate future?
cool. There's probably three that come straight to mind. One, qualify for the Olympics, and go, if
Hello.
if that is, yeah, if it goes ahead. So that's
Yeah,
number one. Number two would be run and hopefully win NCAA indoors in the mile. And number three would be outdoors as well, and race NCAA outdoors, and just
right.
use both of those races as, yeah, a good chance to get some experience and racing some really, really talented athletes. Um,
Right.
so yeah, those would be my three target goals for the short term.
Nice. And looking further down the road, what are some of your more distant goals that you are aspiring to achieve?
Yeah, this has been a big one recently, and a lot of people have been kind of been like, hey, Sam, you've been running miles 3 years in a row. Do you reckon you can run in like 15 or 16 or 17 more in more years consecutively?
Right,
And
right.
so recently, as soon as Nick got that, 19 years in a row running sub 4, that's at the back of my head. And I will just see how the career pans out. It's a bit early to make that a firm goal now, but
Right.
that's always in the back of my head. But definitely Olympic medal. I would just love to get an Olympic medal. That's been my childhood dream. And Olympic medal in the 1500 would just be, or any discipline would be absolutely amazing. And yeah, those probably two of my big ones. Maybe even beat Nick's 329. That'd be pretty cool.
Nice.
The New Zealand record. Yeah.
Wearing that silver fern in your chest, getting that gold medal, that would be pretty sweet, I'm sure. Now,
Yeah, such an honor.
you you mentioned as a kid, it was your coach that really had the confidence in you to do the things that you did, and you didn't quite believe it or even think about it. With the goals that you have now, do you ever doubt that it's possible for you, or is your confidence in a different place now that you've been in the sport longer and you've seen, glimpses of what you're really capable of?
Yeah, it's definitely try not to get too confident, because I think you can get overconfident and then set
Yeah,
silly goals. But I've always told people that I aim, like in a race, for example, I aim 2 seconds faster than what I actually think I can run. And then
right,
if I'm confident that I can run 2 seconds faster, then I get disappointed, but I still run a good time. And
right,
so I think my my confidence is a little bit like that in a way, because I deal with disappointment quite well, but a lot of the time it's like short-term disappointment, because I realize that what I've actually accomplished is still a good feat. And yeah, so yeah, that's all I have to say about that.
Well, now you kind of specialize in the 1500, right? Are you specializing at that event because you like it more, or you just that's the event that your talents really shine?
Oh, I really love the 1500. I love the tactical, the thought of like, oh, what's going to happen in this race? Is this guy going to
Right,
box me in the whole race?
right,
And the tactical 1500 is just the most exciting thing to be a part of, because you just don't know what's going to happen.
right.
But to be honest, if I was to run one race, it would have to be the 400. Like
Nice.
I love the 400. The 400 is my favorite race, but I'm just not fast enough to be a 400-meter
Right,
runner. So not
right.
not quite built in that way. But yeah,
I can totally relate. I wished I was much faster at 100 hurdles than the four hurdles. That was grueling doing the four hurdles. They call
yeah.
it the man's event,
Oh,
so pretty tough. It would have been so nice to just scuttle along for 100 meters. So I
yeah,
totally, so much fun. Now, what do you
yeah.
think are your main strengths as an athlete? What makes you good at what you do?
I don't want to give too many secrets away, but
Oh, that's okay.
I no, I'll tell you. I I think my strengths are definitely in my personality. I'd have to say,
Nice.
like, I know nobody's going to psych me out. I'm going to run to my ability, um,
Mm,
99% of the time, and I back myself and I trust my training. And I'm not gonna break mentally before I break. I'm going to break physically before I break mentally a lot of the
right,
time. And so I hope I carry that throughout my whole career. But yeah, that would be my biggest strength, I think. And then yeah, then I'd say probably my kick. Um,
right.
if someone's there, and I feel good with 100 to go, I would like to back myself, but it depends who you're up against.
Right. You know, to be your age and to be aware of that and have that mental side and say, listen, you ain't gonna psych me out, that you have that mental strength is huge because, over the years I was in the sport, I talked to a lot of people and the best athletes in the world always said that that mental game was like 80% of it because you get to a
Mm,
certain level, everybody's talented. So to have that right now is like a true blessing. So that is gonna serve you well moving forward, I'm sure. Who
absolutely.
who do you think are your main competition right now in your event?
Oh, there's so many good guys out there.
Yeah. You're like
um,
too many to count.
There is too many to count. And a lot of them I won't race until, the Olympics or up
Right.
there. So, and there is still a significant gap between me and the best guys in the world. So, uh, I couldn't tell. I honestly couldn't tell you. Plus, I'm not
Right.
too much of a running nerd. Like I would like to
Right.
splash out in other sports a little bit too. And so I'm not as much of a student of the sport as I could
Yeah.
be.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that keeps me open to being a bit more fun for the boys.
Yep, I can relate to that too. I would see, other hurdlers like Felix Sanchez studying every athlete, every lane, every race, and I'm just like, okay, what's on the TV? So
Yeah,
there is
yeah,
definitely
exactly.
room for a chilled approach. I mean, of course, we do have to study it at some point, as we develop in the sport, but there are times when we can just take a chilled approach. Now, you have these big goals. You want to get to Olympic Games, wear that silver fern on your chest, you know, further down the road, Olympic gold, hopefully in the cards. What do you think will need to improve? What areas do you think you'll need to work on in order for those dreams to potentially become reality?
I think I just need a couple more years of consistent training.
Yeah,
Big
yeah,
base, solid strength work, and then just really good relationships with the people around me,
right,
and just some quality race experience. I think that if I get those, a few things, then I think those results will come, and I don't think you can do much else about it. If you never get
yeah,
them, then you never get them, right?
right,
But if you put things in place to get close, then you may, knock a few out of the park.
right. Absolutely. So, being so young, I mean, your life has been different from most 20-year-olds. What things do you have to be concerned about that the average 20-year-old doesn't even really think about? And have you had to make a lot of sacrifices already at your age?
um, yeah, I've met a couple not a couple of sacrifices. I've met a lot of sacrifices, but um, I think I've never really been one to think about the sacrifices that I've been making, but more the things
Right.
that I've chosen to do instead. Like one thing that a lot of 20-year-olds don't have to think about that I have to think about is a wedding. I got engaged in October
Oh,
to this beautiful girl called
congratulations.
Melissa. Yeah, thank you.
Congratulations.
Um, yeah, thank you so much. No, it was yeah, that's exciting. I'm super stoked with that, and we've been dating for 4 years or something. And she's the coolest chick ever.
Right,
So yeah, super fun, and yeah, so that's one thing 20-year-olds don't often have to worry about. But
right,
yeah, I think I have a lot of distractions, especially when I'm home. So Seattle's a good place because I don't have the
right,
waves or the
right.
skate park or anything like that. But that's other thing that a lot of 20-year-old runners don't have to worry about. But I will tell you one thing. I did go snowboarding last year in the middle of winter, right in track season, and that was pretty fun.
Yeah, you're like breaking out,
Yeah,
breaking out the box. That's
yeah.
great. So, given that you're getting engaged, obviously that means marriage. Are babies in the cards anytime soon, or are you guys gonna kind of hold off on that?
Yeah. I think we're a little bit young for that one. But yeah, probably like late 20s, early 30s.
Right.
But we
Okay.
just want to, start life together, have fun and travel, and
Right.
if COVID lets us, to be honest. But
Right.
um,
Right.
yeah, I got a really cool group of friends at home, and they all surf and skate, and just really good, loving community, and they're just really interested in your well-being, and yeah, they're really cool.
What would you say is the toughest part of your sport? Because, I look back at my sport and it was the ups and downs and dealing with sometimes things not working out the way I wanted and how to spring back from that. What has been, or what do you think is the toughest part of being a distance runner and doing what you do?
I think the toughest part would I got two things. First, the admin. I dislike
Oh my
admin more than
gosh,
anything.
you are
Oh my
preaching right now.
oh my goodness. Admin
Absolutely.
does my head in, and I can't deal with admin very well.
Oh,
So that's a tough part. The second toughest part about being a runner. Um, but it just have to be the unknown. I think like
mm,
you can't it's not like you're a builder and you get a salary. or an engineer and you
Right,
get a salary. It's just like, especially at my stage, it's like you don't know if you're going to be rich as in like a month's time or
right,
broke.
right, right, right.
And
So true.
having to rely on other people for funding as well is like, I don't really like asking for money, and so
Right,
I want to, my background is, earn your money. And so
right.
um yeah, I think that's something that I struggle with a little bit, but also, yeah, I'm just got to relax and see what happens.
It's kind of like a catch-22, really, isn't it? Because, on one hand, athletes, we're very prideful. We like to get things done, and we definitely like to get them done on our own, and
Yeah.
then, but our career kind of almost forces us to have those moments where we do have to depend on other people. How is it for you now? Because I know that, still being in school, there's all these different rules. Are you able to get sponsorships, or your hands tied? How does that whole scenery look in terms of your financial stability going forward?
Yeah, I'm actually pretty lucky at the moment. Because University of Washington, pays for my education and everything else like that. And so I'm just, letting them do all the maintenance of my life, really. And so I don't have an income, but I also don't have many expenses. Um, and so the college system is actually really good for a person like
Mhm.
me, because as long as you're representing the university, then they can pay for you to race for them and, travel around the country, and you're expense free, really.
Right,
So that's my situation at the moment. But yeah, when college is over, then it's all up to you, and then you can start to get sponsors and everything else like that. So sponsor me.
right. Yeah, exactly. I'm for it. Sponsor
Yeah.
Sam. Now, as an athlete, we all have them, and I'm sure over your already 15-year career as a runner, we have bad days. How have you learnt how to handle those days when things don't go your way, or you don't run the time that you want, or you don't execute what your coach has asked? How do you get through that, or is it difficult to just kind of get? Because I know some athletes have a really hard time getting
Yeah.
over it when they've not done what they wanted to do. How do you handle that?
I just do something fun. Like I'll I'll eat some food, or I'll go surfing, or I'll go for a
Right,
skate, or a lot of the time I'll do something crazy, but not to put myself in danger, just like
right,
a little bit on the extreme side. Like I don't know. If I was like in Washington and there's no skate parks and it's wet, I'd probably just go jump into the water when it's freezing cold, or something like that. Go
right,
snowboarding, take my mind off it. But then again, disappointment comes in the middle of the season where you can't do something crazy. So you just have to deal with it by relaxing and talking to your family, talking to the fiance, or brothers and sisters. Yeah, I've got a really big, like, I'm the oldest of five kids, so I've got a really close family, and we
right.
just chat too, which is cool.
Right. I love that. Now, you have had a lot of people support you over the years, and you're a very driven person. Do you ever feel pressure from either within or from the outside? Because you've done so well so young. Is there a lot of pressure for you to perform at a high height?
Yeah, I think I put pressure on myself a lot of the time.
Right.
I There probably is quite a bit of pressure, but it's mostly, everyone tells me there's no pressure, but really there's pressure. Like you're
Yeah,
like,
like
if you're the
stop messing
best, like,
around.
yeah, like, don't be silly. Just tell me there's pressure and I know it. Like
Right, right,
you can't run away from pressure. You just have to be like, okay, here it is. Here we go. Let's run.
right,
Um, and I think the easiest way sometimes that I deal with it is just forget about it. Pretend it's not there, and then just think about it race day, get super nervous, deal with your nerves, done. You know?
right. Yeah,
And
yeah.
so, yeah, for me, that's kind of the strategy, but yeah, it's good.
I love it. Now, we talked a bit about coaching, and I always look at coaching as almost like a marriage. Like that you spend so much time together, you really have to get to know each other. You almost have to learn how to speak the same language. What about your coaches do you need or have you been given that has allowed you to really accomplish what you've accomplished? And do you feel confident moving forward? So
Yeah,
they
yeah, yeah.
what are the traits that they have that you need to know that you're going to be able to take this where you need to take it to achieve everything that you want to achieve?
Yeah, I find that the best thing that I can get out of a coach is them believing in me, and
Right.
even if they don't tell me, because I want to think that I can do it more than
Yes.
they know that I can't. Like if
Right.
they think that I'm not quite fit enough, I'm not going to run that fast. But if they tell me that I can do it, then I'll do it.
Right.
But as soon as they plant that little bit of doubt in your head, then all of a sudden it's airy fairy. Like, can you do it? Can you not?
Right. Right.
But yeah, that and just a really good communication. I think that
Yeah.
both Andy and Craig have got really good communication with me, actually, and with each other. But yeah, they understand me as a person, and they understand like who I am, what my personality is like, and how they can get the best out of me. And I think that yeah, if you're a coach and you're trying to get the best out of your athlete, you actually got to know who they are and how they thrive. Because if you're having fun, then you're gonna run a lot better than if you're not enjoying it.
I think that's a good point that you make, that having that person that believes in you, and even if they don't, lie to me, baby, lie to me,
Yeah,
because
100%.
because there's so, I've seen coaches who think, going the opposite route, telling the athlete how terrible they are, kind of motivates them. And I think that may work like for a short spark, but long
Mm,
term, I don't think that's the best route to go when you have someone who's
yeah.
talented who can really go there, because now they're dealing with trying to deal with their emotions and what you're saying instead of focusing on what they got to do. So I think that's a really
Mm,
good point that you make there. Now, you talked about the Olympic gold and what you would like to achieve this year. If you walked away from the sport having accomplished everything that you want to accomplish in the sport, would there be more on your resume than the Olympic gold, or would there be more things you would want to achieve?
uh, um, I don't know. I think this is the crazy thing. I used to think, no way I'm ever doing a marathon. No way, not ever happening. Wouldn't do
Right.
anything like that. That just seems dumb. But the more I run, the more I think I'm going to do a marathon. And
Nice.
yeah, there's probably going to go on. And a competitive person is always going to run hard. And I always think that I'll do a marathon and relax and just do it for the accomplishment. But there's no
Right.
way that I'd do that. I'd go out to race it, and you can't lie to yourself if you're that way inclined. You'd go hard and you'd just go put yourself in the box and hurt. But it'll be it's something that's definitely going to happen at some stage, because you're not really a runner if you haven't done it. If you're not a distance runner if you haven't done a marathon, right, at some stage
Right,
in life.
right. You got to get
Um,
certified.
yeah, yeah, 100%. So yeah, I think I'd do that. Probably something else dumb like an Ironman, but I don't think I'd do many of them.
Right.
Just because, I mean, my Craig, my coach, has done, and New Zealand has done that. He's actually done 10 of them, which is
Wow.
crazy. And yeah, just makes you a bit of a beast. So I think
Yeah.
that, yeah, but yeah, I don't know. I think once I retire from running, I'll just become a hobby surfer, hobby jogger.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So you love surfing, you love snowboarding. Are there other things that you love to do when you're not, studying or competing or training or thinking about studying or thinking about training, thinking about competing?
Yeah, I really love playing music, and I kind of miss
Nice.
my high school band, which we're actually, like, to say it humbly, we're pretty good, but we we did a couple music competitions and weren't practiced enough, but we had some good ideas coming.
Nice.
But yeah, I miss jamming with them a bit and playing in the church band as well, and so yeah,
Right. So
that
were
was good.
you were you singing, or what were you playing? What was your piece in the band?
Yeah, I was actually the bass player.
Oh, the
And
bass.
so, yeah, me and the drummer was just jamming out, getting super
Love
tight,
it.
and yeah, it was super fun.
When did you learn how to play bass?
Ooh, I think I've been playing for like 14 years
Oh,
now.
wow.
So probably like when I was 6.
Right.
Yeah,
So you just did it. You at 5 years old, you like, I am ready for the world. You just started doing everything, track and field, playing
yeah,
bass. I love
yeah,
that. So do you think
yeah.
there's
So
we might hear some songs from you in the future?
that'd be pretty cool. I think, yeah, that'd be like to be honest, that'd be like my dream job.
Nice.
If I could drop running, if I couldn't run, and I was guaranteed to replace my running talent for my music talent, that I would do it. But
Nice.
I think right now running's going good, so we'll stick to it.
You know, it's so funny. I said this in another interview because I'm a music person as well. I actually went to USC and music was my major. And
Oh wow.
I had the same feeling as you. I was like, track and field window is like this. Like you better get in while you can. But music's always going to
Yeah.
be there, so you know you can pick it up after. So do you think that's what I mean, this is probably a long way off for you now, but do you think that's what you would want to do after, or have you thought about retirement and what's going to happen? Because you know it seems like forever when you're in it, but there does come that
Yeah.
day when it's like time to hang up the spikes. Have you thought about what post career would be for you?
Yeah, I've there's a couple of different options in the cards. My dad owns a sawmill with his brother and his dad in
Oh,
Te Puke, just a small town close to where we live. Um, but yeah, working there is kind of a backup, but I kind of enjoy it just because it's kind of like a humble job, and you just
yeah,
kind of chip away at working every day, and I quite like that too. And that kind of gives me an opportunity to live a bit of a regular life as well with a salary and everything else. So that's one option. But yeah, coaching maybe another option. But yeah, maybe even in the schools, working in the schools, that'd be pretty
nice.
fun. I love kids. So yeah,
I love it. Well, it's been such a joy to chit chat with you. I can tell, like, you clearly have the talent, but what I really notice so much is that the mindset that you have is incredible. Like, I wish I thought the way you think already at 20 years
uh,
old when I was in the game.
whatever.
So, I mean, you have the
Thanks.
right mindset and you have the talent. So, everyone here at Global Sports Channel will be looking out for you and supporting you in your future endeavors. So, we're really happy that you took some time to talk with us. Now, before you go though, don't hurry off too soon. I always like to play a little game with my guests,
Yeah.
and it's called This or That. So you just pick one or the other, right? So I'll just say two things and you choose one or the other,
Okay.
okay? All right.
All right.
So
Is there a time limit?
no. Take your time. You
Okay.
even
Okay.
yeah,
Good.
you can grit your teeth even if you want. It's not too painful. Very simple. iPhone or Android?
iPhone.
1500 or the mile?
1500.
World record or Olympic gold?
Oh, Olympic gold. Yeah.
And I think I know the answer to this one. Speed training or endurance training?
Speed training.
I love it. Well,
Absolutely.
if that Olympic gold one was pretty tough there, I know I put, definitely put you on the spot with that one. But Sam, if
Yeah.
people want to follow you, if they want to see what you're up to, support you, sponsor you, whatever it may be, how can they get in touch?
On my Instagram is the main platform of my running content I post. And I think it's underscore Samuel Tanner or Samuel Tanner underscore. So
Right,
yeah,
right. Oh,
give it a
we'll
follow.
find it. We'll stalk you and
Yeah.
figure it all out.
Yeah. Thanks.
Uh, well, good luck with everything. I hope that everything goes as smoothly as it goes for you in the future, and that all the
Thank you.
ambitions and all the achievements that you're hoping for actually become a reality in your life. We wish you all the best, Sam. Thank you so much for being with us.
Cool. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Have a great day. Bye bye.
See you later.
Dude, this guy, he is so mature for his age. I mean, seriously, I thought I was pretty mature, but this guy really has it together. His mindset, his composure, his the way he handles his sport. I mean, this is a class act. I'm really, really going to be looking forward to seeing how his career unfolds. It's going to be really exciting. He has the talent and he has the mindset. So that was pretty exciting to get to know him a bit more. I'd love to interview him again in a year or even 5 years and just see how everything has gone. But as I always say, I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. Don't forget to like, share, follow, and comment on your favorite moment. And do not forget to go to www.globalsportschannel.com and see what else we have cooking up over there. Now, as I say, that's all from me for now. See you next time. Ciao.